Hey, what's up, everybody? Hopefully your Friday's off to a good day. Let's just take a look at last night in Deer and Fox. Injuries happen. Sucks. Nothing you can do but move on to today and just look at that fantasy lab meme that they send out every time of just shoveling your
Yeah,
money into the fire because that's essentially what it is. It's annoying when it happens to you, but if you won because you didn't play him, it's a good day for that, right? Like we've all been on the winning half of things before because somebody else got hurt that we didn't own.
yeah, definitely appreciate that. It was frustrating, man. Fox got hurt. He was a great play. Bagley gets hurt. He was a great play. And the game goes to double OT.
I fell asleep before that. I didn't even realize because I played Bagley as well. I didn't realize he got hurt because I had stopped caring at that point.
Fair enough.
All right, guys, Overlay Fantasy Sports, check them out. We'll get into some breakdowns later. Had to miss yesterday. A little bit of an extended vacation day after Christmas for both of us. And I'm guessing a couple of the NBA players who played last night looked like they were still on extended vacation as well, which you and I were just talking like the day after a holiday. That's not untypical.
No, it's not, man. We talk about this all the time like they're humans. These guys, celebrated Christmas just like the rest of us.
Right. And I'm still tired from Christmas Eve. So, I mean, these guys probably are in the same boat a little bit. So, we got ourselves a 5-gamer tonight. A couple of the games are just not appealing from a DFS like slate evaluation standpoint, even in the slightest. So, you might have to get a little ugly when you veer off the more high scoring games, but that can be also a little bit appealing. So, let's start right here. I'm going to talk about my boy Giannis for a multitude of reasons of why you're going to want to roster him. So, let's just start with this game right here. If you go look at your totals today, the total on this game projection wise is 16 points higher than the next one. That just screams, let's at least look at it first, right? Go to the game with the two high paced teams. I actually give Atlanta to keep this game relative too. Like, I mean, it's possible Milwaukee could run away with it, coming off of a loss. There's a reason their plus minus is over double digits for the year. Doesn't mean they are right here. And I'm going to give the Hawks credit to keep this one competitive. It's got the most overall DFS appeal from a game standpoint. And I think the key thing for me right here, guys, is don't mess with Giannis on a game they lose, in a game where he played poorly. He shot the ball poorly. He had an awful game against Philadelphia. He usually comes back with a vengeance the next time out.
Yeah, it's hard to see him not playing really well here. I figured you'd go right here. I guess assuming the questionable tag is really nothing, and he's probably going to play.
Yeah, he's listed as probable everywhere else.
All right, cool. So yeah, no worries there. And yeah, it's hard not to look at Giannis after that game the other night. You just mentioned it also that there are a couple games on the slate that aren't really worth taking a look at. Yesterday we saw that small forward and the forward positions in general were a lot weaker. Excuse me. I think we have the same situation today where there's a lot of guards you want to roster. Forwards are not as desirable. Giannis is by far the top stud on this slate. So he is. It's definitely a fade at your own risk if you're not using him, in my opinion.
I don't know if you saw any of this, but I posted in the Facebook groups yesterday about how I could get on board with a certain small forward because it was just the ugliest position I could remember. And not only did my guy not succeed, I think every other suggestion by somebody else didn't succeed. It was just an awful position yesterday. It was so gross.
It was so ugly. So it's a little bit better today, but it's not great today. I know when I was making dummy lineups last night, the forward positions just weren't that great.
All right. Well, I think we could fill up our forward positions within this game because I'm a big Giannis guy and you like John Collins today. I will say this. Having watched every Bucks game almost this year, the dream scenario for John Collins today is Milwaukee gets a little bit of a lead, like 10, 15 points, and it just kind of fluctuates up and down around there because that's when their defense intensity kind of cuts down a little bit. And if that happens, I think you could see like legit monster GPP value from Collins.
The same. We both like Collins a lot. We didn't want to go there in his first game back because it was his first game back and he wasn't, priced down at all. But man, he was awesome. Stepped right back into who we know and love. The upside, massive game last time out. For me, what stands out to me about this play is the fact that power forwards are just giving it to Milwaukee, especially recently. The past 5 power forwards against them, Horford just went for 38. Sabonis went for 59. Randall, Matt with 33, AD with 65, and Porzingis 53. So I'm not just going to say Collins is going to walk into 50 here, but he's right on the talent level of all those other guys. If this game is competitive, and we both kind of give Atlanta credit in that regard, it will be because of Trae Young and John Collins, but price still affordably at 7,600 with how power forwards are doing against Milwaukee. I like Collins a lot here.
Also with Randall, he wasn't great, but they lost by
Yeah.
148 points that day, so he wasn't playing pressure minutes. And that's kind of been the thing with Randall since Coach Fizdale's
Yes.
been fired. If the game is competitive and Randall sees a full allotment of minutes, he's been amazing. The problem is the Knicks kind of suck, and there's a lot of games where they're not competitive, and they've played some real crappy opponents where those games weren't competitive.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to measure that, so I'm with you 100% there.
All right, next up is your boy Bam Bam.
So kind of like power forwards against Milwaukee, centers have just been giving it to Indiana. Both you and I really like Bam a lot. We like Collins, but I'll speak for you and say we like Bam slightly more. This is a guy that's really coming into his own. You made a point a couple weeks ago that I've really taken to about how well and how good Miami develops their players. Well, this is the best example of it. He's turning into a star. I think he'll be an all-star this year. This should be a good game. So this is not a game I want to like stack for DFS purposes because both these teams are solid, both play good defense. It's exactly the type of game I like Bam in. I think he eats inside. I think he does a little bit or a lot of everything. He's expensive, but he's not hard to afford. It's one of my favorite plays on the slate. How do you feel?
As far as all the games, not Golden State, Phoenix, and not Milwaukee, Atlanta, this is one of my favorite plays outside of that because some of these games are just meant to be ugly, which isn't always great for DFS. However, Bam, I don't know if I'll call him a star yet in the NBA, but he's a very good basketball player, and he's getting better, every time he goes out there. So star is not like a far cry. He is, however, a DFS star at this point already. There's a reason he's priced at $9K. The Pacers have had a lot of struggles with not relinquishing DFS points to the center position. I expect this game to be competitive, and while you wouldn't call this game a quote-unquote smash spot, there's usually one or two guys who find a way to achieve in competitive games, and he's lined up to be probably the best overall play from this game.
No doubt about it. I love your point about how he's getting better each time out. On the Christmas Day slate, I don't know when I turned it on for a second and was hearing Adrian Wojnarowski talk about the Heat and talk about exactly what you just said about how good Bam is right now, but about how every game he's getting better. And by the end of the year, he will be a star like you were talking about. So we see this very much eye to eye.
Well, and it all depends how you measure star. I mean, he could be a star to some people right now based on how they measure it. That's going to be more of it's the best word I'm looking for. My brain's not really working right now, but it's how you interpret it. And he's a very good NBA player. And this wasn't a guy who was supposed to turn into a star, but he looks like he's on the way.
Do you think he's more of a star than Sabonis?
We'll see how Miami. I can answer that question better in a couple months. I want to see how if the Heat end up like being right at the top of the East with these other teams and like they win a playoff series or two, then as much as I love Jimmy Butler, he needs a running mate, and if Bam's the number 2 guy there, it's hard not to call him a star. Yeah.
And I like Sabonis a lot, but I don't view him as like a star player like I think Bam could become.
Well, it's because I don't think the ball stops with Sabonis. Sabonis is a good passer, but because of the way he plays, the ball stops with him a little bit, and then he becomes a good passer while he has it.
Exactly.
He's not a great defender. I think Bam is just a very, very good all-around player.
Yeah, exactly. Very well said.
All right, let's move into the guard position that we mentioned before. There is a couple of guys you can go with. And outside of Milwaukee and Atlanta, which has the highest game total by a large margin, the next desirable game on this slate, with a couple of the games not being desirable as a whole, is going to be Phoenix against Golden State. Ricky Rubio is definitely the kind of just – you feel like he's got a real nice floor, I guess is the best way to put it today. He's got 35 plus DK points and 8 of 9. So on a salary of $7,100 in cash games, you're looking for about a minimum of 35. He has achieved that 8 of the last 9 times out. And the game where he didn't get it was the back-to-back against the Clippers, who they had knocked off earlier this year. And you and I both said it. Like, you never want to go out on a limb and call for blowouts. Even you said it's going to be a blowout. Like,
that was such a bad spot for the Phoenix.
Right? Like, we didn't even want him that day. We knew it was not a guy we were interested in. So every time he's at least been viable, he finds a way to meander into cash value. He has 8 assists plus in over 10 straight games. This game's a -3, so it has the potential of a competitive game. And really, the game total, if you look at it, it's the only other game that has overall DFS appeal from a 30,000-foot view. So this is one of, I think, the safer plays in that game.
It's definitely a cog in the machine type of play here. Definitely one of the first guys that I was looking at on this slate. I'm interested and intrigued to see what his ownership comes out towards the end of the day, simply because it's bizarre, and I think a lot of people are looking at this, that Devin Booker is $200 less than Rubio. I think he draws a lot of people. Quite simply, Rubio's been better. So I think it's an interesting one. Both of them are wildly in play, especially with where they're priced. And again, I do view Rubio as like just that you don't have to set it and forget it type of guy, but if you want to use him, just set it and forget it, and he's not going to let you down. You know,
Based on his role in this team, he's been significantly more reliable than Devin Booker. On any given day, if I'm trying to get 60 DK points, I want Devin Booker just because he's still an elite scorer. Now they spread it around in this team a little bit more. They gave Devin Booker such a monster workload his first couple of years. This is probably better for his player development in some weird ways like that. And Rubio just walks out there every day, ball in hand, picks up his 10 assists, grabs a couple of steals, makes a couple of open shots because they still don't respect his jumper for good reason, but he just finds a way to get to 35 plus almost every single game. And he's another guy, like, he only averages 37 points, but if you took away the injuries and how he's currently gelling with his new teammates, I look at him as more of a 40 to 45 point per game guy.
Great point. And also Kelly Oubre, I think questionable here, just opens up more usage for the Rubio and Bookers of the world.
Yeah, I mean, if Oubre's out, tough not to.
And Oubre's not the type of guy where I'm like, oh, Rubio and Booker will hurt because he's not playing. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Not at all. So awesome, guys. That's what we got for today. Appreciate y'all watching. Thumbs up is appreciated. Hope your holidays are off to a great start, and we'll see you for some overlay talk a little bit later.
Thanks, guys.